nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. Roll call, please, Yana.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Here.
Mayor Long.
Here. Thank you. Moving on to presentations and proclamations, we have a new street maintenance worker. Who would like to introduce him? Nobody?
I do not see Bob here. And
Oh,
Bob would be the
either.
one to do that introduction. So
I have met him.
If he jumps on, and we'll go back to it.
Okay,
So right now will be time for oral comments from the public. Anyone that is on our meeting or would like to call in to the number shown on your screen, now would be the time to do that. And while we're waiting to see if anyone wants to call in, we can approve the consent calendar. We have lots of items on the consent calendar tonight, including city council minutes, administrative department monthly reports from community development, finance, parks and rec, police, public works, River Lodge, report of disbursements, confirmed cost of nuisance abatement cost for real property at 2386 Acacia Drive. And that's it. So does anyone want to pull anything? All right, how about a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the consent calendar. Gotta get back here to the items 1 through items A through J.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. All right, anyone from the public want to address the council? Any phone calls? Diana, did you just raise your hand and I missed it?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Diana Rios, Fortuna Business Improvement District. I just wanted to remind everybody that we sent out a survey about a week ago asking businesses to give feedback to the bid as a way to reach out to the community, hands-on. We haven't got great feedback on that, better obviously door to door. But if you as council members are business owners, I made sure to include you. I would love to get your feedback on some guidance and directions as we create our work plan and we finalize our budget. And then we'll be submitting that to you guys for consent in July. So I just wanted to let you know that's coming and I appreciate your time. Thank you. And I did want to apologize for the meeting running so long last time. It's a little light tonight. I have lots to say, I'm sure. Just kidding.
Diana. Anyone else, Sienna, on the phones? Nope. All right, we'll close public comment and move on to city council business. Consider adopting resolution 2021-22 establishing solid waste fees and authorizing an amendment of the city franchise agreement for curbside collection of solid waste and recyclables with Eel River Recology, formerly Eel River Disposal and Resource Recovery Company, and authorizing agreement with Humboldt Waste Management Authority for participation in its household hazardous waste program. Staff report, please.
thank you, Mayor Long. I'll be providing that staff report. And Sienna, can I share screen now?
Should be able to.
You? So the item up for consideration is the adoption of solid waste fees, modification of the franchise agreement and amendment with, and an agreement with Humboldt Waste Management Authority for household hazardous waste and participation in their household hazardous waste program. I presented the proposed fees to the city council on May 17th at the regular city council meeting. At that meeting, council directed staff to proceed and bring that those proposed fee changes back to the council with the resolution and fee changes. I just wanted to point out our city attorney, Ryan Plotz, is here. He assisted with the staff report and the drafting of the resolution, and he can also help answer questions if you have them tonight. The city clerk published a notice of the public hearing on June 7th. in accordance with section 41901 of the Public Resources Code, which specifies how many days in advance there needs to be notification before fee consideration is considered. The resolution will authorize the establishment of new solid waste fees, authorize the city manager to amend a contract with Recology to reflect the rate changes and for them to be able to collect the fees, and to execute a contract with the Humboldt Waste Management Authority for household hazardous waste service. The different fees that are included in the resolution include an increase to the city's solid waste franchise fee, the payment of local enforcement authority fees to the county of Humboldt, the payment of household hazardous waste fees to HWMA, and a reduction of the current recycling rates paid to Recology, the city's franchisee for solid waste and recycling and green waste collection. So I'll provide a little bit of background on each one of the different fees and also talk about the impact to the rates. So the first one that I'll go over is the franchise fee. Cities can charge a franchise fee as a percentage of the total solid waste fees. Traditionally, they're treated as a general revenue and not limited for solid waste related activities. That could change based on case law, and the city does have a number of expenses for managing solid waste that we would make use of these funds for solid waste purposes. Currently, the city solid waste fee is 5%. The proposed increase is to 9%, and that's included in the resolution. It would become effective on July 1st, 2021. And just for comparison, City of Eureka, Humboldt County have a franchise fee of 9%. The City of Arcata has a franchise fee of 10%. And the City of Rio Dell has a franchise fee of 3%. The revenue generated from the franchise fee currently is approximately $80,000. It would increase to approximately $144,000 with if it is approved to be changed to 9%, be somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000 a year. Staff anticipates needing around $40,000 for SB 1383 compliance and ongoing, and then also $44,000 for annual street sweeping and other garbage and debris pickup. There's also an existing transfer station fee that would be retained that generates approximately $20,000 annually, and that's a $1.15 fee per ton of solid waste generated. The franchise fee increase would result in approximately $1.11 increase to customers with the 32-gallon service. Again, I'm going to be going over a number of fees. You can see on the right the boxes for this fee, and there are also is a recycling fee decrease. So when I mention the cost of these fees, it's not the net increase. That's the impact that each one of these changes would have. And you'll see those as I go through them outlined in red. And I'll review the total change to the rates from the fee changes when we get to the end. So you can see that you'll be able to see the net impact to the solid waste and recycling rates. The next fee I'd like to describe briefly is the local enforcement authority fee. The 1989 California Integrated Waste Management Act requires city to have a local enforcement authority. The city designated the county of Humboldt Environmental Health as the local enforcement authority in 1992 with resolution 92-93. So what the LEA oversees state mandated regulatory programs, permits, and inspects and enforces state and specific local standards for solid waste facilities, including transfer stations and recycling facilities. The Board of Supervisors establishes a rate. Currently, that's $3.13 per ton of solid waste generated. But the city the city council is required to authorize or pass through that fee to the ratepayers. The city attorney reviewed and confirmed the responsibility for the city to be able to pay the LEA fees. So the impact, if approved, would be a 23-cent increase to customers with the 32-gallon service. And you can see it highlighted in red what the impacts would be to some of the other typical service sizes. Household hazardous waste. Currently, the city only collects batteries and prescription medication. Household hazardous, joining HWMA's household hazardous waste service would provide 6-day-a-week drop-off for household hazardous waste, things like paint, cleaning products, herbicides, pesticides. Now pressure treated wood was recently reclassified as a hazardous waste, so they would accept up to 125 pounds of treated wood waste. They'd accept batteries, e-waste, fluorescent bulbs, used oil and filters, and other different types of hazardous waste that is generated. The fee for that service that would be paid and passed on to the customers per ton of solid waste generated would be $6.22. That's the same fee that all HWMA members are paying, so there wouldn't be an added or higher cost for the city of Fortuna. It would be the same cost that the members of HWMA pay. And this increase in fee would result in about approximately a 45-cent increase to customers with a 32-gallon service. And as with the last few fee slides, you can see for some of the other typical service sizes what those fee increases would be, but they'd range from 28 cents for a 20-gallon service to $5.73 for a 2-yard service. A copy of the draft agreement with the Humboldt Waste Management Authority is included with the staff report. It includes a term of 3 years that would automatically renew on an annual basis without cancellation. The city could also choose to terminate within 90 days if they so choose. The amendment, the approval of this agreement would require an amendment with Recology. They would collect the fees and remit those to HWMA. The city attorney reviewed the proposed contract with HWMA, as did HWMA's attorney, and so we have consensus from the legal counsel of each entity. The last fee change that we're looking at is a reduction of recycling rates. In 2019, the council approved a 10% rate increase for Recology as a result of some of the collapse of some of the recycling markets. Following that time, the amount of recyclables generated in the city went down. And so the cost for Recology to process recycling went down as well. There are a couple years that wouldn't fall under this rate increase that Recology collected $136,000 approximately. Those would be set aside for future costs. What I'm thinking that those could be used for now is if the city does go to universal collection, that the type they could be applied towards the equipment or containers that would be needed. But let's see. So the reduction of the recycling rates would result in approximately a $1.09 decrease to customers with a 32-gallon service. And you can see the total range of decrease to the solid waste fee for the various customer sizes would be a 95-cent reduction for the 20-gallon customer up to a $5.83 reduction for the 2-yard customer. There are some other fee changes that they're not included and detailed in the resolution, but I thought it was important just to make note that there are increases that can be passed on in accordance with the franchise agreement and that don't require a council approval. And those include things like the landfill costs that Recology is charged when they haul the waste to a landfill, and those costs can be directly passed on to the city. And the council also isn't required to approve any adjustments below 3%. So there are also some adjustments that would fall within the 3% requirement. So approximately 2%, 2.6% is the expected CPI increase that would also go into effect on July 1st. And those are detailed here. So you can see the increase would be approximately 50 cents for the for the 32-gallon customer with a 32-gallon service, and the landfill increase is about 15 cents for a 32-gallon customer. And you can see the range in the slide and the areas highlighted. So what is the overall rate change? What would that look like for various customers? We'd see a $1.35 increase to customers with a 32-gallon service, but the actual range would be between 99 cents for the 20-gallon, the smaller customers, up to $12.78 for a 2-yard customer. So with that, staff's recommendation is that the council approve resolution 2021-22 and approve the waste fees and establishing a schedule of fees and charges for solid waste, recycling, green waste, and household hazardous waste within the city of Fortuna, and authorize the city manager to amend the city solid waste franchise agreement with Recology to incorporate the proposed fee changes. So that concludes my staff report. Again, we have our city attorney, Ryan Plotz, on, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if the council has them.
All right, thank you, Merritt. Let's open the public hearing for anyone from the public that wishes to comment. You can call the number on your screen. Let's go to the council, see if anyone has any questions or comments.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, Merritt, since the hazardous waste fee, there's a fee included in the monthly rate. So does that mean when you drop off hazardous waste, you're not going to be paying anything there for it?
That's correct. You will not have to pay for those services when you go to HWMA.
Thank you. Is HWMA, is that here in Fortuna or is that in Eureka?
That's in Eureka.
So we don't have any place in Fortuna to take our hazardous waste.
We don't.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I got one. First, I went looking at the resolution and the stuff and the wording in it. It says that this takes effect July 1st. So does that mean July 2nd we could be taking things to HWMA, a household hazardous waste, or as they like to call it, the red shed?
That's correct. We've been in coordination with HWMA and they're aware that it's on the council meeting tonight. And when we worked out the language, they're just waiting for us to pass this to execute the agreement. So yes, July 2nd, Fortuna citizens could use those household hazardous waste services at HWMA.
Okay, and then the second thing was with the CPI increase and other things, will there be any like bulky item pickup or things like that? Maybe a tire take back day that, is there any plans for anything like that?
Not at this time. That CPI increase is just an automatic that's included in the franchise agreement. But one of the things that we're going to have to do in the near future to comply with SB 1383 is to update that franchise agreement to, amongst other things, provide organics collection. And so one of the things that we've been discussing with Recology that we'd like to see is some of the standard services you see around the county, like the large item pickup once or twice a year, and some of the other things that other entities have. So there will be a time for that. I expect to bring a modified franchise or a revised franchise agreement back to the council within the next 2 to 4 months, and for us to start working on that.
All right, thank you. It's nice when we have things that we can bring to the ratepayers like that.
Yeah, and certainly we'll consider the list of services and any ideas that people have at that time. We hope to get the participation and have people voice what they would like to see.
Thank you.
Anything else from the council?
Forgive me if this is the same question, but isn't this our opportunity to discuss CRV? Or is there going to be another opportunity to discuss that? Because I know citizens are finding that very important.
Yeah, so this really CRV isn't something that's part of the franchise agreement. Really, it's separate, and it's a bigger issue that's being worked on right now. We can't force Recology or Humboldt Waste Management Authority to reopen. They've identified some concerns, and they requested decertification really based on the limitation of their sites and traffic. And so there has been, there is an ongoing effort from a legislative perspective. It's really different from this item, but the hope is that either HWMA, Recology, or the county can participate in a pilot project that would allow appointments. Recology and HWMA have been concerned that there will be large traffic jams if they reopen, amongst other things that were related to initially COVID and now just the large stockpiles of CRV that citizens have. So I don't have a good answer of how and when that will be resolved. I know there's a lot of people that are very anxious. It's unrelated to this item, but something that we're tracking and continue to voice our concern about and are trying to help find a solution to.
Anything else from council? Sienna, do we have anyone call in?
I see no members of the public that would like to speak at this time.
Okay, we will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Can I ask one more question about the LEA?
Of course.
I'm curious to know, we weren't paying the county for their oversight, and now this will re-engage that, and we didn't get a bill or anything?
Yeah, quite honestly, they've been asking the city for a long time. There was a period of transition with city managers from 2016 on till I got there around 2018 in the interim basis. And I think that, they've requested that this has been brought to our attention a number of times, and through those leadership transitions, we really didn't address it. And I think really what probably brought this to the forefront, the county was looking at increasing their fees they charge for the enforcement authority to HWMA members. And I think it was indicated they really cried foul that, hey, Fortuna's not paying those, and they didn't want to see an increase unless Fortuna came to the table and paid the fees for that service. And so we're really at a point where we should be paying them, and we will be, so I think that would have been forced regardless of whether we did so voluntarily or not. So we moved forward with this upon the recommendation of the city attorney, and we, I think I'm not sure what else to say other than, we get that service from the county. We made that designation, and unless the city wants to change that, then we need to pay them the fees that's established by the board of supervisors. But there's no discussion of retroactive bills at this point.
All right, did somebody make a motion? No, you asked one more question.
Well, I will make a motion to adopt resolution 2021-22 and read by title only.
I'll second.
Tiana, we have a motion and a second.
Resolution 2021-22, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Fortuna establishing a schedule of fees and charges for solid waste, recycling, green waste, and household hazardous waste within the City of Fortuna, and authorizing the city manager to amend the city's solid waste franchise agreement with Recology, Inc. to incorporate the proposed fee changes. Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. All right, thank you. Moving on to city manager's report.
You're muted.
As customary, I'd like to go over the upcoming meeting schedules. The next regularly scheduled council meeting is on Monday, July 6th. We don't have very many items for that council meeting, so I'd like to request that a cancellation of that meeting. So if any of the council members have any, I'd like to hear tonight at the end of my report if council's okay with that. And if that's the case, then our next meeting would be on July 19th. The next planning commission is on June 22nd at 6:00 p.m. The next Measure E meeting is on Tuesday, September 21st at 5:30 p.m. And the next Roner Community Recreation and Park District meeting is on July 7th at 2:30. I just have a few things for my verbal report. One of those is that Cal OSHA updated their standards and voted 5-1 to approve revised COVID-19 emergency temporary standards. As a result, face coverings, masking, and other social distancing requirements at the city will now be consistent with the Cal OSHA rules and guidelines from the CDC. Some of the highlights of that are that vaccinated employees will not be required to wear face coverings. Unvaccinated employees will be required to wear face coverings in buildings or in a vehicle. The city will have to provide N95 masks for unvaccinated employees, and COVID testing will have to be paid for by the city in the event there's concern. And also the social distancing requirements will go away. So again, this continues to change. I think there's some positive things here, and I know that our city clerk sent out a memo to employees to follow through with these changes today. So we're moving forward to loosening those restrictions as Cal OSHA allowed. Staff is also continuing to work with other jurisdictions on a regional effort for compliance with SB 1383. It's been good to work with an ad hoc committee to the solid waste task force, and we anticipate putting out an RFP for consultant assistance for a comprehensive effort that will be required to comply with SB 1383. Right now, it looks like Humboldt Waste Management Authority will be administering that project, putting out the RFP and doing some of the other necessary tasks related to the administration. The city will have to pay their proportional share for that work, but the work would include everywhere from a compliance assessment and coming up with a model ordinance to some of the food recovery programs, enforcement, and then also the siting and developing an organic waste recycling facility within the county that could serve the entire county or portion. So there's going to be a lot of work, and I'm pleased that we'll be able to work with the other agencies rather than having to duplicate efforts at each city or jurisdiction. Staff submitted the necessary forms to receive the American Rescue Plan Act on June 17th. Those were due on June 23rd. The city's expected to receive approximately $2.9 million, which is more than the $2.3 million that was originally expected. I did report that to the council at the next meeting, but one of the things that we'll be doing is considering use for these additional funds and bringing that back to the council in the near future. On June 9th, the division department head group convened and we did a DISC personality assessment, really looking at ways that staff could understand how each person and each division or department head works, their personalities and communication style, and how we can improve communication and management within our divisions. And then lastly, I'm really pleased that our city events are proceeding. We put a lot of work into some of the plans for Rodeo and Auto Expo, and now with the COVID blueprint restrictions gone, those events are being advertised in full swing. So we're really excited to see Rodeo, Auto Expo, Hops and Humboldt, and others coming in the near future. I think the public's really going to be excited, and so we're looking forward to a great event season. And I know our parks and recreation we're scrambling. It's been a year since we've had those, and there's just a lot of work, as well as starting up summer fun and some of the other things that are happening with our parks program. So all of our departments will be busy: police, general services, parks, and it'll be great to have our event season back in July. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Merritt. Has our rec supervisor started yet? Do we have that person?
We expect our rec supervisor to start on July 6th. She's going through the background process and physical and some of the pre-employment requirements.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else have questions for Merritt?
Well, you kind of covered it for me, but I was curious, if we cancel the July 6th meeting, is there anything else you need to cover with us in greater detail regarding Rodeo or Auto Expo? Because then we won't meet prior to the week of.
I don't think there's anything else that I need from the council on that. I think our departments, I know our police department is gearing up and they've been talking with other agencies. Our chief has been coordinating at LECA meetings. I know they've been working on an operation plan. Our parks department's working on staffing. So I don't think there's anything else we need from the council. If there's anything in particular that you're looking for, I'd be happy to take that question or coordinate if there's anything that you're thinking that we should be doing.
Nothing in particular. The other question I had is, at what stage are we when it comes to the state of emergency? Are you going to end that, or is that still in effect?
They automatically renew if we don't end them. So we haven't renewed that. So we would be out of our state of emergency. I don't know if our city attorney has anything else to say, but those are over unless they're automatically renewed. And we haven't renewed them within, I don't know if our city clerk remembers what the timeline is, but I think it's
Every 21 days.
21 days. So we're, from a city perspective, we're out of the state of emergency.
That's correct.
Any other questions? All right, moving on to future agenda items. Anything? All right, city council reports and comments. Mike Johnson.
Okay, be a pretty short one, actually. Had a HCOG meeting last week, and we took care of some of the, looking ahead to some of the items on there. There were important that people notice. One thing, the 101 north of Trinidad rest stops are both back open again, which seemed to be a pretty important thing for a few of us that I've talked to, and they're back in operation. I think it's been, for the northbound lane, I think it's been almost 3 years that it was shut down, and it's back open again. The other thing is that the 101 corridor, the Indianola overcrossing and half signal on that section it's out to bid, and it might close this week if I remember right. And they hope to award and, depending, weather dependent, start work in the fall. A lot of that project that was done in other ways is done. Some of the fish pass, the tide gates, cable barrier, medians, part of the bridge work is done. The acceleration and deacceleration lanes are done. So it may not look like it because we have an idea what we think it's supposed to look like, but there's been a lot of work going on there, and that's been completed. And the same thing up in on the Last Chance grade, they're looking at a second contractor coming in and working on the wall portion to speed things up, and then doing that where the slide has taken longer than expected because of the material and the rock in there. And so they're looking at modifying the work schedule there to having fewer closures a day, but longer work periods so that they can get more things done. Don't know how that's going to affect the traffic pattern and stuff, but we'll see. But that's one of the things they're considering. And that project is, they've narrowed it down to 2 alternatives, and they hope in not too distant future to select the alternative that's going to be used. And a lot of the work, the geotech drilling, dewatering, groundwater, a lot of that has been completed. The studies have been completed. So there's been a lot of things, again, in the paperwork end of things that's been completed. And that's the biggest thing. Oh, one of the things that we did discuss at the HCOG board meeting was the going back to full attendance meetings. And the way things are worded and the governor's order and with OSHA and everything, it looks like that the earliest that will take place is September 30th. And hopefully some of the other things that have being involved in that will shake out at the same time as that. But that's where we're looking at right now. I'm interested and may attend the Eureka Council meeting because it's going to be a hybrid with in-person and Zoom at the same time. And they have installed equipment, and their IT people have worked on that to make that a functioning, working system, and be interested to see how that works. But that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Jeremy?
Our Parks and Rec department didn't meet for lack of an item for the agenda, but I will tell you that the grounds are looking great. I still see tons of activity. Softball is up and running. The parks put together, along with First Five of California, the first and hopefully inaugural or first ever, and then to be continued, Pastels in the Park in Newburgh Park. And we had 25 participants, and they put out some amazing artwork. It was pretty neat to see everybody out there. The winner was the Darley Diaz fan club, followed by a family that drew an amazing peacock. And there was some honorable mentions, a really, really neat ocean scene with octopus and different fish coming out of the concrete. And it was really cool and really neat to see some amazing talent in our community. FBID is meeting on a bi-weekly basis. The latest conversation is regarding their work plan, which was mentioned by Diana, and the survey that's out to all the business owners. So once that survey has finalized, there'll be a gathering of information and then the work plan established around that. The FBID board is going to support Redwood Village and their kids' activities at Rodeo Week on Tuesday. So look for some activities going on there. It'll probably be modified from in the past, but like everything else for this rodeo. But I'm really excited to see the 100th rodeo coming off and coming together. And then a couple of things that were in the consent agenda that I thought was worth mentioning. Not necessarily my report, but I'm excited to see the FEMA maps finally getting the remapping taking place, and it looks like it'll be in effect by early September. So we could get some literature out to some citizens that are affected by a flood zone and maybe get some relief for some costs related to flood insurance. So I'd like to see, make sure that people are realize that all that work we did with the floodway restoration project is finally gonna see direct benefit to their pocketbooks. And then also wanted to thank staff for providing the update on the 12th Street project with putting the wires underground, and glad to see that that's still moving forward. Should be happening by the end of this fall. And lastly, I just wanted to commend the smooth operation of staff and the vendor of the paving project at Redwood Way. I thought that went off really well, and it looks and drives great. So thank you, staff, for that. That concludes my report.
Thanks, Jeremy. Tammy. You're on mute, Tammy.
I said, thank you. I don't have a lot to report. I have been going to the HOPS meetings. I did miss one and I learned my lesson, because when you miss a meeting, you get volunteered to do a lot more than what you planned on doing. So that's moving along good. And I'm very excited to have all of our events come back this year. And that's all I have to report.
Thanks, Tammy. I had my first Humboldt County Remote Access Network meeting with the Sheriff Hansel and the rest of the board on that. Had a REDEC executive meeting. I have REDEC on Monday night. And then there is a meeting at the Campton Heights Baptist Church on Tuesday, the 29th at 6 o'clock to further discuss the troublesome group of minors that we have running rampant in Campton Heights. Chief Day will be there, and Supervisor Michelle Bushnell. So if anyone is concerned or would like to just come and find out what's happening and what can be done about the group of kids in that area, Campton Heights Baptist Church, June 29th at 6 o'clock. July 3rd, we will have fireworks at dark at the high school. So unfortunately, we are not having the festival this year, but at least enjoy the fireworks and celebrate the freedoms we share in America today. Renee and the chamber are looking at getting a rodeo mixer, live band, all kinds of stuff. I'm not sure exactly what, for the 12th, which is the Monday that we normally have the chili cook-off uptown. So since we're not having the chili cook-off, she's working on an event for Monday, the 12th. So stay tuned and pay attention to the chamber. She'll have more information on that. And with that, that's the end of my report. Anyone have any last comments or questions, or are we done?
I just had a couple comments, Mayor Long, if I could. One of them is Councilmember Stanfield brought up the Roner Creek floodplain remapping, and we are working on outreach to let everybody know how they can save money and what the terms will be. So we're going back and forth with FEMA right now, and some of the questions that we're asking are things like, will I get a refund if I if the floodplains are remapped in September and I paid already this year. So we're trying to anticipate those questions and ask a lot of those, and we'll be coming back with some information on that. And I think folks are going to be pretty pleased with some of the information that we'll get back, and it'll directly speak to what their savings are.
All right, thanks. Anything else? All right, Tammy.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks, you guys. We'll have to
Okay.
tell Mike done really quickly.